Welcome to our Thursday edition of EV World News, where we talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock market. I'm here today with our founder and editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
I got up this morning and I'm pleased to be on this side of the turf
There you go.
again.
E- Every day above ground is a good day.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see. First thing I want to talk today about is we're getting back to the UAW strike because this is still
Mhm.
kind of interesting. I was reviewing some UAW related stocks. And it's interesting, the stocks haven't been tanking even through the strikes, which I've found to be quite interesting because that affects the US and all these companies are
Yeah.
global. But anyways, the UAW strike is a huge gamble. If the UAW wins, workers across America will benefit, but that may not happen. So this has been starting to be, and this is a Clean Technica article, it's starting to be characterized as being, UAW versus electric vehicles. Now, this is kind of an interesting take on this. The New York Times called it the strike. The battle over EVs is central to the auto strike. Car makers, car makers are anxious to keep costs down as they ramp up electric vehicle manufacturing, while striking workers want to preserve jobs as the industry shifts to batteries. You're always going to have technology upheaval. Obviously, we had horse and buggy at one time, and that industry got replaced by cars. We keep being told how the trains are going away, and trains obviously were far more prevalent than they are today. But, to some extent, we still see trains, especially in the part of the country where we're at. And, you know, so the UAW wants to be middle class again, and they have this thing about they want wage rates to be increased by 40% to match what CEO pay increases were also
Yeah.
40%. But they're looking at doing it over 4 years, and the way inflation's been the last couple of years, I'm not even sure that a 40% raise over 4 years is actually really beating inflation. That's kind of a narrow hit.
Yeah.
Ford's top pay rate of $32 an hour took 6 years to get there. This is according to an Andrew Hudson that works at a Ford plant in Wayne, Michigan. He is striking because he doesn't want his newer colleagues to have to wait that many years to get to the top pay level.
Yeah. They
Let's
still
see.
have a tiered system. I don't know. The bête noire of the auto industry, Roger Moore. Was it Roger Moore? No. Yeah. Me and, oh, come on. What is his name? The film producer. Same name as mine, Moore, but no relationship. Um, did an interview with one of the networks and was talking about the fact. Of course, his family is it's like four generations of auto workers or something like that. So he's very on the inside track of a lot of this stuff. And he points out that the auto industry back in 2008 2009, the UAW that is, was asked by the Biden administration, no, sorry, Obama administration, to give up temporarily a bunch of the benefits that they had accrued over previous decades, to save the auto industry. And of course, they did that. And what's happened now, as he pointed out, it's been what, 14 years, something like that, since they put that, they accepted those cuts, and the administration, Obama and Biden as VP, said, you'll get it back once we get through this. Well, the problem is they never got them back. They never got those benefits back, and a lot of these guys are still working for less than $20 an hour, which given what's happening with the economy and things, is
That's
needs to
rough.
be addressed. So there is their side of the story, and of course, the auto industry is being pulled by. We have to somehow or another get off of the internal combustion engine, but that's where we make all our money, so that we can invest that money back into EVs. It's a real tug of war, and it's a dilemma that I don't see as an easy solution. I don't think we can really characterize it as the UAW versus electric cars. It's just that they know that's the future. There's no getting around it. This is where the money's being put. This is where the policies are going, and not just in the United States. This is a global phenomenon. So the guys that sit there and in the headquarters at Ford and Dearborn, and GM there on the river in Detroit, Stellantis used to be in Auburn, but now it's over in Belgium somewhere. So they see the handwriting on the wall. They know they got to get there, and so what they're hoping is, let's make all the money we can on the pickup trucks, the big stuff, the SUVs. Then we can take those profits and invest it into making this transition to electrics. But how much of that is actually being invested? That's, I think, is still an open question.
Well,
going back to buy stock buybacks and going to shareholders rather than into their workers and into the modernization.
well, a lot of the auto workers, their argument is that in the 60s, corporate executives only made about 20 times what the workers make. Now it's more like 400
Oh
times.
yeah.
And it's tough to see that, but the most talented executives also tend to bring their relationships that bring sales that, you know, it's hard sometimes to really characterize, where some of that is at. But it gets a little much when you've got a worker making $50,000 a year and a CEO that, with all of their options and everything, caps out and maybe makes $50 million a year.
Yeah. What was Mary Barra? She's got something like $29 million last year, some number like that. And more power to her. But at the same time, let's think about those guys there in Lansing, or wherever they are, these plants are located, and what those people are having to do. So yeah, I'm sure she doesn't sleep well at night. I can't see where running an international corporation the size of General Motors lets you catch a lot of good sleep, because you're always being hit with some crisis or another. And I would assume some of those assembly line workers probably go home and they worry about things like the rest of us, but they probably get maybe a little more sleep than she does. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know Mary personally. Never met her. I have met her predecessors, but never specifically talked with Mary. So it's a conundrum. But what troubles me now is that this is becoming a political issue. It's not just the UAW. We already had Trump come out and say he's against electric cars. And then we just had Ron DeSantis come out and say he promises that we're going to have, when he's president, we're going to have $2 a gallon gasoline. And the other ads is the $2 a gallon gasoline, and he's against electric cars. So are you still there? Because it looks like our stream is finished. So I will shut up until we find out what happens. Well, what happened to my colleague? The joys of technology. Well, should I ramble on or keep talking here? It says we're live. So, hey, folks, this is Bill Moore. I'm here all alone without my co-host and podcast producer. So anyway, he wanted to talk about new battery tech. And of course, some of the news is obviously that CATL, and are we hearing from him? Nope. So CATL is, which is Contemporary Amp over in China, is developing a new battery technology that not only is, one technology which is iron based, which is the lithium iron phosphate, but then also they're coming up with a new sodium based battery, which will allow them to cut costs and weight and a number of different factors. So then he wanted to also talk about Nikola, the truck manufacturer. Other than they have had their ups and downs and setbacks. We're going to introduce a promising new fuel cell semi, and they had problems with that in the management, and then they've gone back to batteries for the time being. So it's an interesting stock. I'm not a stock guy. I don't do a lot of investing. In fact, I don't do any investing in stock for that matter. So I think what I'm going to do, since he hasn't come back, I am going to leave. I will see you all later and hope we can make something out of this.